All right, guys, we are back with another Real Talk today. And today I have a very hot button topic for you guys, and that is the over penetration argument that I've heard in my comment section over and over and over again. It's so played out, but I feel the need to discuss it because there are so many people making assumptions, so many armchair operators out there who think that they know everything. And by no means do I know everything, but anyone who claims to know everything is actually the dumbest person in the room. So let's just start with that. There are some things we need to assume before we kind of get into this conversation, I guess you could say. And I want to hear from you guys down in the comment section as well, like what you guys use for your home defense caliber and why, whether it be 9 mil, 12 gauge, or 45 ACP or 5.56, for instance, 300 blackout, whatever it might be. I want to hear from you guys because there's the biggest thing I keep hearing about in a video that I had done about why an AR-15 is better for home defense is the argument that it's just over and over again. I can't tell you how many, probably hundreds of comments at this point, talking about how, yeah, you could use an AR for home defense if you want to kill your neighbor or if you want to kill your family member in the next room. So let's tackle this. Before we get into all of the nitty gritty, we have to have a few assumptions here. So, number one assumption is that let's compare apples to apples as best as possible, right? So, for a shotgun, let's assume we're talking about a double-aught buckshot, not bird shot, because nobody's using bird shot. If you're using bird shot in your shotgun for home defense, you're an idiot. Sorry to say it. I know. There it goes. You're dumb. Uh, if a guy's coming in your house to kill you, the objective should be to end the threat, not necessarily take their life, but end the threat so they're no longer a threat to you. And it's not to scare them by pumping your shotgun or pepper them with birdshot. The purpose of having a home defense tool is to defend your life and the life of your loved ones. It's not to, you know, preserve anyone who's trying. It's not your concern of whether or not the person trying to kill you is going to be mildly injured, what their injuries are going to be. It's your job as a defender is to defend your home, defend your life, stop the threat. So let's assume we're talking about double-aught buckshot. Let's assume we're talking about hollow point ammunition when it comes to 9 mm, 45, whatever it might be, and also defensive ammunition when it comes to the 5.56 caliber as well. So assuming that you are using the correct ammunition, not FMJ ammo, assuming that you are skilled with your weapons, and assuming that you know the layout of your house, which you should know that where your front door is in relation to where your bedroom is in relation to where everyone else who lives in your home's staying at. You should know all these things, and you should have a plan and be aware of where your target is and what's beyond it, right? That's one of the 4 firearm safety rules. So assuming you've thought all this through, a lot of us may not even have the issue or the wonderment. If you live in a second story home and everybody sleeps upstairs and the choke point's your staircase, for instance, you're shooting behind the bad guys is the ground. That's assuming obviously that you get up in time to get to the staircase in time, which again, just know the layout of your home and whether or not, nothing's perfect in a perfect world, like we all have a plan, but you got to have contingencies to that plan. But let's just assume you know what's behind the perp wherever they might be in your home. You know exactly where they might be. So in my situation, I have a very fortunate situation where if I am defending my home, like I said, hopefully if I get to the staircase in time, then I don't have to worry about my backstop because it's earth and that's going to catch a bullet for sure. I don't have to worry about injuring any of my neighbors or anything like that. And if it wasn't, if they were to make it up the staircase somehow before I was able to get my firearm or, figure out where I need to be at, if they were to beat me to it somehow, silent cat burglar style, then I know exactly what's beyond my doorway in my room. So, and after that, then that's you have no time left. You're not really in a good situation there. So, assuming all those things, I want to squash this myth that is a 5.56 is going to just go forever and it's not never going to stop. It's going to continue penetrating walls, and a 9 mm or 45 or a shotgun even better, because a lot of people say shotgun is the best thing for home defense, and that's just purely completely based on no fact whatsoever. If you do a little bit of research, whether you do your own research, as in you actually go out, you build some walls and you shoot through them with different calibers, or you just watch guys' videos like Garantham is a great example, who did one somewhat recently, a few months ago. He had a video where he shot everything from 22 all the way up to like I think 300 Win Mag through like 4 or 5 walls, had a target in between each, and then saw what kind of calibers did what. And in every video that I've been able to find, as well as all the research I've been able to do online, there's no definitive. The 5.56 or for having an AR-15 for home defense is actually as good or better, meaning it stops sooner than a 9 mil does, or some of the larger handgun calibers like 45 ACP. The reason being, those calibers are really heavy projectiles. You got 115 grain on the low end of 9 mil, up to 125 grain hollow point that you're slinging downrange, and that weight, even if it's a expanding ammunition hollow point, is going to travel through more walls. Now, there's another assumption here, right? Because there's some videos online where they'll shoot through ballistic gelatin and then see if it will penetrate through a 12-inch block into a wall, through the wall, and then into a gel block behind it. And in that video, that I forget the gentleman who did that test, I forget, you could probably find it on YouTube. Even in that test, the rifle calibers perform better, expanding, delivering all the energy in that 12-inch block. So this is also another assumption of, if you're going to completely miss your target. This goes back to being proficient with whatever you're using, whether it's a handgun or a rifle. The target is going to be the ultimate stop. And again, if you hit your target, there's a lot of fluid here. It's going to Projectiles tend to expand better in fluid like beings, like humans or animals, than they do through drywall. So if you hit your target, you're going to have to worry much less about that projectile continuing on afterwards. But even in that case, in that test, the 5.56 performed better. So there's this huge myth because it's a faster traveling bullet, but it does not equal. Again, when you're using good defensive ammunition, I use Hornady Critical Duty. It's a 55 grain projectile. It has a ballistic tip on the front. It is designed to release as much energy as possible, as quickly as possible. In that gentleman's test that he was shooting through that ballistic gelatin, he was using a varmint round, like a 55 grain VMAX, something along those lines. So any type of projectile, like a varmint round or a self-defense round that you're going to get from a 5.56. And during Garand Thumb's test, he even shot what he uses, which is a 77 grain open tip match, I believe it was. And it stopped going, it went through one wall, front and back, so two pieces of drywall, the second wall, front and back, and then it stopped in the third wall. So 9mm, 45, and buckshot, as well as obviously the slug, went through every single wall, which was 4 total he had. So it went through every single wall and then went into the dirt after all 4 walls. So again, I don't know where this data is coming from all these folks who are commenting in my comment section. And again, I'm trying to stop reading the comments because it just tends to be the worst of the worst of people, especially on the YouTube shorts. It just tends to be the dumbest people, I think. And so I just feel the need to talk about this with guys because I don't want people reading those comments and actually believing it. And again, I'm not assuming that there's something I don't know. I'm always open to I'm not married to my ideas, but from all the evidence that I've seen, on top of the fact that in that video, the whole argument, and this is a totally different topic, which I already covered in a previous video, is when you present your pistol, when you're shooting your pistol, using your sights like you should be. Again, I know there's unique situations if you're in a tussle or if you're this close to a guy. I'm talking about if you have a plan of action in your home, you should be able to get to a position, or even from your bedroom or from your bed, you could hold a rifle just as easily as you can hold a pistol. And if you are waiting for somebody, if you're not going on the offensive, and if you don't have to go on the offense, okay, even if you are going on the offense, there's a reason SWAT teams and there's a reason Navy SEALs do not sling their rifles to the side and pull out their sidearm when they go into clear a building. Now, I know there are some very specific situations where they may do that today in modern day tactics, like climbing a ladder, for instance. But in your own home, you're not going to be climbing a ladder. Like if you're going downstairs, you want to use your sights. Like you don't want to just be pointing and shooting, which even in that case, it's easier to point and shoot an AR-15 than it is to point and shoot a pistol. So in any situation, any way you can really cut it, a rifle is going to be better because the higher magazine capacity, it does not overpenetrate. In fact, it underpenetrates compared to 9mm and double-aught buckshot. And you're going to have a lot more points of contact, a lot more accuracy, faster follow-up shots. It's a lot easier to handle the recoil of an AR-15 versus a pistol, especially if you're a single mother, you have a woman, or you go out of town, let's say for work, and you want something for your wife to defend the home with. A short-barreled AR-15 is plenty. It's the best thing that you can get to use. As far as the research I've done and my real world experience and my life experiences and the people I've spoken to, this is not contested amongst anybody who actually knows what they're talking about. Everyone who's saying, yeah, you use an AR-15, you're going to kill your neighbor. Like, okay, don't use M855A1. Like, don't use armor piercing rounds. That is obviously going to have a tendency to go further and through more things. So when we're talking about responsible gun ownership, we're talking about, number one, being proficient with your firearms and always being safe with them, knowing your target and what's beyond it. Number two, using the right type of ammunition, expanding ammunition for self-defense. That ammunition is designed to rapidly expand, deliver all the energy on target. And if you miss, it's going to travel through less panes of walls and less panes of drywall, because it's going to be going a lot faster and be breaking apart much quicker than a larger projectile like a 9mm or even those 38 caliber double-aught buckshot little pellets. So, and number three, know the layout of your home. Have a plan, right? Be responsible enough to sit down with your family and say, this is the plan. Even if it's as simple as, hey, this is our bedroom's the last one in the last corner of the house. It's just you and your wife. If someone breaks in, your wife needs to know to get up and go, wherever, go in the closet, hide, whatever, while you take care of business, or you set up a barricaded position. Again, if you don't have children, it makes it much simpler than if you have kids in other areas of the home. Then you have to have a little bit more of a intricate plan where your wife goes, gets the kids, you cover the hallway, whatever it might be, right? I don't know the layout of your home. I don't know what your situation is, but have a plan, know how to use your firearms, use good expanding ammunition. And anyone who says that they're not using an AR-15 for home defense because it's going to go through more walls is just an idiot. I'm sorry. There's no way around it unless you guys can present in a comment in the comment section with what's the word I'm using for an anonymous username talking about your experience in the FBI or your experience. Like, that's not proof to anybody out there. That's not helping anybody. I'm not saying comments, qualifying. It's just like when you have a guy talking crap in the comment section, talking about how they know everything. Oh, I was this or that. And a lot of times they're not even saying that. They're just saying that you're an idiot and you're dumb. It's like, where are you getting this information from? Is this just what you heard from your cousin, or is this just anecdotal from you shooting an AR-15 and being able to shoot 400 yards versus only being able to shoot 25 yards with a 9mm? That's just not how velocity and energy works. I mean, that 115 grain or 124 grain bullet, it's got a lot more weight behind it. It's going to be able to continue going. It's not going to fragment and lose any of its density or as much of its density as a 5.56 would, because it is traveling so fast. And just to be clear, during Grand Thumb's test, I believe he was using a Mark 18, like a 10.3-inch barrel that he shot those two 5.56 calibers out of. So it doesn't really make sense, but a longer barrel with a higher velocity should even have those bullets fragmenting even quicker, and it may even stop even sooner through different walls of penetration. But the main thing is hit what you're aiming at. It's a lot easier to do that with a rifle. Ask anybody if you've gone to a flat range and you've tried shooting a target at 25 yards or even 10 yards with a rifle. Try doing it quickly, a bill drill, for instance, and do it with a pistol, and you'll see that group size is pretty dramatically different. Okay, even for guys who are well trained and who shoot often, guys who are much better shooters than me will say the same exact thing. So you're going to get 30 rounds of magazine capacity. You're going to get a easier to handle weapon, easier to follow up with the recoil. You could throw a suppressor on there if you have a 10.3-inch or 11.5 or whatever it might be. Even a 14.5 still remains relatively short and maneuverable indoors if you know how to manipulate your weapon. And if you know the layout of your home, you may not even need to leave your room. I know some guys are gonna be like, well, if someone breaks into my house, I'm gonna go get them. It's like, dude, there's nothing more important than your life. Everything in your home can be replaced. And if it can't be replaced, it should be in your room in a safe. You know what I mean? So don't go out, if you don't have to. If you got 4 guys breaking in your home, like, I'm not going. They can take whatever they want from the first floor of my home. I don't keep any guns down there for obvious reasons. And so they could take whatever they'd like. If they don't ever try to make a move up the stairs, and I know some guys might be like, that's a whatever, that's a coward's move. But in my opinion, there's nothing more valuable than my wife and myself and my child. So I'm going to stay right by their side, not risk exposing myself in my position. I'm going to have a defensive position. And if they try to advance and, again, try to harm me whatsoever, I'm going to have the advantage on them. But that's just something you guys need to think through. Like, it takes a little bit of planning. It takes a little bit of effort. It takes a little bit of training every month. Just get out there and train with whatever your home defense rifle is. Make sure your home defense rifle and or pistol is reliable with the rounds you're using for home defense or personal defense. I know it sucks because that ammunition is typically much more expensive than FMJ, but you need to make sure that your pistol cycles hollow points if that's what you're using for home defense, which is some sort of hollow point or frangible ammunition is what you should be using for home defense. So make sure that it works in your rifle or pistol or your shotgun for that matter. Lastly, I will say, if you have any firearm, it is way better than having a sharp stick, a bat, a golf club, a knife. It's going to be exponentially better than having any of those other club or a spear even, or a sword. A sword is better than a knife, but a pistol or a shotgun is still much better than not having any firearm. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not trying to shit on people who don't have the ability to either don't own a rifle or own a quick access safe. Let's say if you have children, um, to get to your rifle quick enough. My baby is not even crawling yet, so I still have my rifle right by my nightstand. When the time comes when she's able to walk around and move, I will probably have a quick access safe right next to my bed with a fingerprint or a quick access code. And dude, contingencies, like I just said, you could have a pistol in a quick access safe if, again, it really complicates things if you have children, if you want to be responsible, which you should be. So, but you could have a quick access safe for your pistol right on top of your nightstand and have, your little gun safe right there. Like there's Voltec, there's all kinds of quick access rifle safes as well. I know they're expensive. Don't get me wrong. I know they're expensive. They're not cheap. But if you keep the way I do it is I keep loaded mag in the gun, chambers empty. So if I need it, I grab it, I rack it, and I'm good to go. So even most children aren't able to pull the weight back on a charging handle. But again, just be safe. Once my daughter is crawling, even I'm going to have everything completely locked up. So with that being said, guys, just keep in mind the fact that nothing is perfect. Pistol or shotgun is much better than a rifle. Last thing I'll say is the vast majority of space is exactly that, empty space. Okay. In the horrific occasion that somebody breaks in your home and you pull a shot and you miss that individual, again, keeping in mind what's beyond your target and whatnot, even if that bullet leaves your home, there's like a very, very small chance that in the event that you're trying to protect your life and save your own life and you need to use your firearm, because that's the only situation in which you should be using your firearm, that bullet is extremely unlikely to impact any other bodily person. I know it happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's extremely unlikely, and it's not a reason to not defend your own life because of the extremely small chance that you may impact something that you didn't want to impact uh, across the street or down the street or whatever it might be. That's an extremely rare situation. I'm not trying to make that argument. That's like worst case scenario, that bullet leaves your home. You are responsible for that bullet, obviously. But in the situation where it might leave your home, what are you going to do? You're going to lay down and get stabbed or murdered or let your wife get raped in front of you because, oh, I didn't want to have a 1 in a million chance of this striking some other living being down the street. No, you got to do what you got to do. And the more you prepare, the less likely that is, the more competent you are with your firearms, and the better plan, the better the plan is for your home defense strategy, knowing your backstops, knowing, where's safe to shoot from if someone were to break in your home and what's beyond it, then the less likely that is to happen. But again, it's life or death, and that's the threat right in front of you. You don't want to, again, nobody's going to be thinking that way in the moment, but we have all these keyboard operators out there, armchair operators that are talking crap saying that they know what's best. And in reality, 5.56 penetrates less walls. If you completely miss your target, again, go watch the videos. I'm not making this up. Grand Thumb literally built 4 walls to spec, and didn't the 5.56 never touched the stud, by the way, and neither did any of the other calibers. One of them did veer off, but I think it was like a one of the shotgun pellets or something like that from the double odd buck. But go watch that video. It's not, it's real world. He built these freaking walls and actually did it, put his money where his mouth was, and people are still arguing about this on the internet. What it really comes down to is people don't want to be wrong about whatever their choices are. They want to have confirmation bias. They want to look up videos and find people that will, reassure them that they're making the right choice or the best choice. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, guys. Like, it's the good guys versus the bad guys. That's really what it's about. And if you train and you know what you're doing, you know how to use your pistol properly, you have good expanding ammo, I'm telling you, like, go ahead and use it. Like, I'm not saying you need to throw that in the trash, and I'm not saying you can't have it as a backup there on the nightstand, or if you can't get to your rifle fast enough, whatever it might be. It's not going to hurt to have one there. Maybe have your wife grab the pistol and you take the rifle. Whatever it is, guys. I know people are gonna be like, "What?" Another one of the comments is like, "What are you fighting? You live in Taliban country? The Taliban kicking your door down?" It's like, dude, I watch Mr. Guns and Gear on Instagram. That's all you need to do is like see one guy posing as a UPS man, and you open the door, and then next thing you know, 4 guys rush into your house, all armed, all masked up. So home invasions often happen in the middle of the day. They often happen in numbers greater than one person. So if you have a pistol with a 10-round mag capacity and you miss 4 shots and there's 4 guys, I hope that you're really well placing those other 6 shots, because 9mm tends to just, people, I've seen videos of cops shooting 9mm at guys and they're just eating them and keep walking at them. So if you really want to push an off switch, the AR-15 is going to have way more energy, way more effective at stopping bad guys. And as long as you're using good expandable ammunition, whether it be hollow point or whether it be critical duty or something of that sort, frangible ammunition, it's going to be the best thing in my opinion. And again, guys, do whatever you want. This is a free country. This is just me having a conversation with you guys about some really opinionated people on the internet that I don't think have any right to have the opinions that they have, besides the fact that they said that once or they heard that once and they just repeated it over and over and over again. So I'll be the first to admit I'm wrong if somebody were to show me a video or present something to me that changed my mind about that. But again, as of right now, I'm not changing my home defense strategy because I know that the AR-15 is the best thing for me. And with the points that I've stated today, maybe you guys agree, maybe you disagree. So let me know down in the comments what you guys use for home defense. If you buy into the whole over-penetration argument about 5.56, or if you think it's BS. But if you guys do like these videos, there's 4 ways to support the channel. There's a super thanks. It's like Patreon right here on YouTube. There is using bro code RDB10 over at brownells.com. Gets you guys 10% off 150 or more. Most things apply to that, but there are some exclusions. But you can get mostly anything on Brownells with RDB10, and it saves you guys some money as well. Then we have rangedaybro.com for merch. And then lastly, liking, commenting, and subscribing is a huge help to me, guys. Keeps these videos pumping out, and it actually pushes these videos out to more people who need to hear this message of positivity and love and bringing people into the community. That's what this is all about, guys. At the end of the day, I try not to give in to this type of content and like the kind of snapback, clapback content, because there's so many dumb people out there that probably just want to get a reaction out of me, and that's fine. But I try not to give into that too often. But this was an important message, I felt. So leaving your comments, your positive comments, I really love all the positive comments, guys. It means the world to me when I hear from you guys that you appreciate these videos, because I'm just talking to a lens right now. But I do feel the connection when I hear your comments back. I feel like I am making a difference. And if you guys feel that way, then those comments really mean a lot to me. So I love you guys. Keep training and let me know what you think down in the comments.